January 17th, 1943. The chill of the North African desert bites through the thin layers of clothing, and sand swirls around the boots of advancing American infantry. The air is thick with the acrid tang of gunpowder, smoke curling in jagged lines under the harsh winter sun. Soldiers press forward, hearts pounding, gripping Thompson submachine guns that rattle with a deadly rhythmic cadence. Each burst of .45 caliber fire tears through the silence, cutting down obstacles and enemy positions with a ferocity the German infantry had scarcely imagined. Shouts mingle with cries of the wounded, and the staccato of 600 rounds per minute becomes a sound both terrifying and exhilarating. The Germans, dug into foxholes and behind battered walls, recoil in disbelief. They had expected slow, deliberate rifle fire, calculated and measured, not this sudden, relentless storm. In that moment, the battlefield itself seems to tilt, the balance of fear and power shifting with every squeeze of the trigger. What they would soon realize was that the American infantry had a weapon that could redefine close combat, and nothing could prepare them for its full fury. By the early 1940s, the world was engulfed in a conflict unlike any before. Germany had seized much of Europe, its mechanized army sweeping across nations with unprecedented speed and precision. Across the Atlantic, the United States had been watching, preparing, and quietly rearming, knowing that the day of confrontation was inevitable. American military planners faced a fundamental question: how to equip a citizen army to match the efficiency and ruthlessness of the Wehrmacht. Infantry weapons became a central focus. Rifles like the M1 Garand provided accuracy and range, but in the chaos of modern combat, they lacked the volume of fire necessary for close quarters. The solution, for many units, lay in submachine guns, compact, fully automatic, and capable of delivering a storm of bullets at close range. Among these, the Thompson submachine gun held a special place. Originally designed in 1919, it had earned a reputation during Prohibition in the United States as a weapon of both law enforcement and gangsters. Its 45 ACP rounds were powerful, and the weapon could unleash them at a rate of 600 rounds per minute. Initially, it had seen limited military use, but with the outbreak of global war, the U.S. Army recognized its potential. Production increased dramatically, and by 1942, thousands of Thompsons were being shipped to training camps and front lines alike. The decision to deploy the Thompson was more than technical. It was tactical and psychological. American officers envisioned squads of infantry moving together, advancing through villages, streets, and bunkers with weapons that could suppress, intimidate, and overwhelm. Soldiers trained to fire in bursts, to move and cover one another, to exploit the weapon's strengths without exposing themselves. Meanwhile, the German army, honed by years of blitzkrieg campaigns, assumed that American troops would rely primarily on rifles and slower automatic weapons. They underestimated the volume of fire, the morale boost for the Americans, and the chaos it would sow among seasoned German infantry. By the time American units landed in North Africa in late 1942, the stage was set for these small, heavily armed squads to confront the expectations and doctrines of a battle-hardened enemy. In the deserts of Tunisia, the open terrain exposed every movement, every hesitation. The Americans carried with them a weapon that was not just a tool, but a signal that warfare was evolving. The Thompson was simple, reliable, and devastating when used correctly. Its reputation was about to be forged in blood and sand. In the eyes of soldiers who would never forget the moment, a torrent of .45 caliber rounds swept through their positions, shattering both bodies and assumptions. The story of the Thompson in World War II is inseparable from the story of the soldiers who wielded it, and the enemy who never expected it. Its history, its mechanical design, and its role in the emerging doctrine of American infantry all converge to explain why this seemingly modest submachine gun would have such an outsized impact on the battlefield. This was not just a weapon. It was a turning point in how war would be fought at close range. By 1943, American troops were facing the harsh realities of war in North Africa and later in Italy. The deserts, the mountains, and the crumbling urban centers demanded a new approach to infantry combat. Traditional rifle lines were insufficient. Engagements were fluid, sudden, and often close-quartered. The Thompson submachine gun became a response to this challenge, giving soldiers the ability to unleash rapid, sustained fire at ranges where rifles struggled to dominate. Squads moved with a confidence born of firepower, relying on the weapon not only to kill, but to suppress enemy positions, pinning them down while others maneuvered. German forces, by contrast, were trained and conditioned for predictable rifle and machine gun tactics. They expected engagements to follow certain rhythms: cautious advances, deliberate cover fire, and the measured volley of riflemen. Their defensive positions, foxholes, and fortified houses were designed to counter slower weapons. The arrival of American squads armed with Thompsons disrupted these expectations. The Germans were confronted with an onslaught that was faster, louder, and more psychologically jarring than they had anticipated. Individual bursts could sweep across a room or a trench, leaving no corner safe, no response time adequate. In the Italian campaign, these encounters intensified. Narrow streets, rubble-strewn towns, and fortified hills amplified the advantages of the Thompson. American Fassasso soldiers moved with coordinated aggression, using the submachine gun to clear buildings, suppress machine gun nests, and dominate confined spaces. Each squad became a compact engine of lethal momentum, and German infantry often found themselves reacting to fire rather than dictating it. Reports from the front noted a consistent theme: the shock of close-range fire, rapid and sustained, disoriented units accustomed to slower engagements. This technological and tactical advantage did not exist in isolation. It was supported by training, doctrine, and logistics. Soldiers practiced clearing rooms, advancing in teams, and maintaining their weapons under desert dust, mud, and battle grime. Supply lines ensured ample ammunition, magazines, and maintenance kits, allowing the Thompson to perform consistently under the harshest conditions. The weapon's reputation grew not only because it was deadly, but because it was reliable. Each round fired reinforced the confidence of American troops and the fear of German defenders. By the time the Allies were preparing for the invasion of Normandy, the lessons of North Africa and Italy were clear. The Thompson had proven its value in multiple theaters, showing that rapid-fire submachine guns could redefine infantry engagements. German commanders, once dismissive of American small arms, were forced to reconsider their assumptions. The stage was set for a collision of expectations and reality, a confrontation where the sheer volume and unpredictability of Thompson fire would shock seasoned soldiers and shift the dynamics of combat in ways few had anticipated. The human experience on the battlefield was transformed by the presence of the Thompson submachine gun. Soldiers carrying it felt a sense of power and control unmatched by rifles or older automatic weapons. In the close-quarters chaos of North African villages or Italian hill towns, the weapon gave them the ability to dominate their immediate environment. The psychological effect was profound. A single soldier could lay down a torrent of fire, pinning the enemy, and buying precious seconds for teammates to maneuver. Fear and adrenaline blended into a heightened focus. Men who had trained for months in dusty camps now confronted the brutal reality of combat with a weapon that amplified their confidence and amplified the terror of those on the receiving end. From a tactical perspective, the Thompson reshaped infantry engagements. Squads moved differently, integrating fire and movement in a more aggressive, fluid style. Suppressive fire became a primary tactic, not a secondary option. German soldiers, trained to expect slower volleys, suddenly faced intense bursts of .45 caliber bullets that allowed American units to close distances rapidly. Clearing a house, a street, or a bunker could be done with coordinated teams, the Thompson serving as both shield and sword. Its portability and high rate of fire enabled maneuvering that would have been impossible with rifles alone. Small units could achieve localized superiority, even against numerically equal or larger enemy forces. Technologically, the Thompson was remarkable in its simplicity and reliability. Its blowback mechanism allowed for consistent performance under harsh conditions, from desert sand to mud-soaked ruins. Detachable box and drum magazines offered flexibility in ammunition supply and sustained fire. While heavy, the weapon could be carried and operated effectively by trained infantrymen, providing a balance between power and mobility. Its iconic design, with a wooden stock and foregrip, became instantly recognizable, but more importantly, it was a tool that could deliver lethal force at a rate few opposing forces could match. This combination of human adaptability, tactical innovation, and mechanical reliability made the Thompson more than just a gun. It became a symbol of American infantry power. Soldiers learned to trust it implicitly, while enemy forces learned to fear its sound. Each angle, emotional, tactical, and technological, interwove, creating a scenario where a weapon's true impact extended far beyond its physical presence, influencing morale, strategy, and the unfolding of battles across multiple theaters. Leadership on the battlefield adapted quickly to the presence of the Thompson submachine gun. American officers recognized that squads equipped with these weapons could operate with greater autonomy, maneuvering aggressively, and creating pressure points that forced German units into reactive positions. Tactical plans shifted to emphasize speed, close engagement, and suppression. Platoon leaders coordinated overlapping fields of fire, ensuring that Thompson-equipped teams could cover one another while advancing through towns, trenches, and fortified positions. This decentralized flexibility gave commanders the ability to exploit weaknesses in enemy defenses with a precision previously impossible in large-scale infantry operations. From the enemy perspective, the Germans were forced to reassess their assumptions about American firepower. Veteran infantrymen, trained to expect calculated rifle fire and measured advances, were confronted with sudden, relentless barrages. The volume of bullets was disorienting, especially in confined spaces like buildings or narrow streets. Reports from German officers frequently noted a sense of disbelief and frustration. Their training had not prepared them for the speed and intensity of the Thompson. Defensive positions became untenable as the weapon's firepower overran bunkers and trench lines, forcing rapid retreats or desperate counterattacks. Morally, the weapon's impact was complex. For American soldiers, it created a sense of empowerment, a tool that allowed them to protect comrades and assert control in lethal circumstances. For those on the receiving end, it amplified fear, a reminder of the randomness and immediacy of death in modern combat. Civilians witnessing the rapid exchanges between American squads and German defenders often saw the Thompson as a terrifying instrument of destruction, its presence changing the perception of urban and rural warfare. The gun's effectiveness in close quarters challenged traditional notions of engagement, turning streets, houses, and alleys into arenas of overwhelming firepower. Together, these angles reveal the Thompson's multi-dimensional influence on World War II combat. It reshaped leadership strategies, forced enemy adaptation, and altered the human experience on both sides of the battlefield. Its mechanical reliability, combined with the psychological and tactical advantages it offered, made the weapon a transformative presence in every theater it touched. The consequences of this impact would soon culminate in decisive, brutal encounters where the Thompson would prove its full, terrifying potential. September 9, 1943. The beaches of Salerno, Italy, shuddered under the pounding of naval guns and the roar of artillery. American infantry hit the sand, gripping their Thompsons with grim determination. German defenders, entrenched on the ridges overlooking the coast, had prepared for a calculated assault, slow, methodical, and predictable. What they did not anticipate was the immediacy and ferocity of the firepower arriving with each advancing American squad. Bursts of .45 caliber bullets tore through sandbags and wooden barricades, cutting down machine gun crews before they could react. Inside the towns lining the beaches, the Thompson became a decisive instrument of survival and aggression. American squads moved with precision, advancing through narrow streets and shattered buildings. Each burst suppressed enemy fire, allowing comrades to maneuver with relative safety. German soldiers, trained to hold positions with disciplined rifle volleys, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer volume and unpredictability of the weapon. The noise was deafening, the recoil relentless, and yet soldiers pressed forward, guided by instinct and training. At the tactical level, small unit coordination reached new heights. Platoons divided into teams, each Thompson-equipped squad assigned to key points, intersections, choke points, and fortified buildings. Suppressive fire pinned German defenders while other teams flanked or cleared rooms. The combination of speed, volume, and precision created a momentum that the enemy could not counter. Reports from the front line describe soldiers moving through streets, while German infantry attempted desperate, scattered returns. Casualties mounted, and positions thought secure fell rapidly under the storm of bullets. The human element amplified the weapon's impact. For American soldiers, each successful push reinforced morale, creating a sense of invincibility in small engagements. For the Germans, disbelief turned into panic. Trenches and foxholes, previously considered safe, became death traps. Officers shouted orders, but the tempo of combat outpaced their control. The Thompson's rate of fire, its mechanical reliability, and its portability combined to create an almost unstoppable force at the squad level, transforming the battlefield into a testing ground for close-quarters infantry tactics. The clash at Salerno demonstrated that the Thompson was more than a weapon. It was a force multiplier. Its presence dictated the rhythm of combat, the flow of movement, and the outcomes of engagements. This decisive moment would signal to both sides that close-range, high-volume automatic fire could redefine the rules of infantry warfare. As squads pressed forward under relentless German fire, the stage was set for further confrontations, where the Thompson's influence would be felt even more acutely. The following days at Salerno were a brutal testament to the Thompson's impact. American squads advanced house by house, street by street, each movement orchestrated around the weapon's unique capabilities. German infantry, initially confident in their prepared defenses, found their tactics unraveling. Suppressive fire from Thompsons tore through barricades, forcing defenders out of entrenched positions and into the open. In narrow alleys and ruined buildings, the weapon's high rate of fire became an equalizer, allowing small American units to control spaces that would have required larger forces under traditional rifle engagements. Specific encounters highlighted the weapon's decisive role. At one intersection, a squad of 12 Americans, each wielding a Thompson, confronted a German platoon twice their size. The first burst silenced machine gun nests. The second pinned soldiers in doorways. By the time grenades followed, the German force was disoriented and broken. In the confusion, American troops could advance with minimal casualties, exploiting the psychological shock the rapid-fire submachine gun induced. German officers later reported that the sheer volume of fire disrupted command and control, preventing coordinated counterattacks. The battlefield itself seemed transformed. Buildings once considered defensible were rendered untenable. Streets became corridors of let, hal momentum, and every movement of the Americans carried the implicit threat of a sudden, overwhelming barrage. The Thompson's portability allowed soldiers to fire while moving, pivoting, and advancing under fire. Its reliability ensured that it functioned under sand, smoke, and rain, providing a consistency German defenders could not anticipate. By the end of the Salerno landings, it was clear that the Thompson had redefined close-quarters combat. American soldiers understood its value instinctively, using it to protect comrades and dominate contested areas. German forces, humbled and shocked, were forced to adapt, reconsidering defensive strategies and the vulnerability of entrenched positions to fast, high-volume automatic fire. The events of these days illustrated a simple yet profound truth. The Thompson did not merely participate in the battle, it dictated its tempo. Its presence shifted momentum, altered morale, and set the stage for further engagements where American infantry would exploit its power again and again, changing the calculus of warfare in the European theater. The Salerno landings left an indelible mark on both sides of the conflict. American forces had secured a foothold in southern Italy, but the cost was high. Casualties mounted, buildings lay in ruins, and the terrain was scarred by explosions and gunfire. Yet the effectiveness of the Thompson submachine gun was undeniable. After-action reports highlighted its role in suppressing German positions, enabling rapid advances, and reducing American exposure to enemy fire. Soldiers consistently credited the weapon with saving lives, allowing small squads to achieve objectives that would have required larger numbers under traditional rifle-centric tactics. German units, meanwhile, faced a harsh reality. Their training had not prepared them for the sheer speed and volume of close-range automatic fire. Officers documented the psychological impact. Troops hesitated, retreated prematurely, or failed to return fire effectively. The Thompson had shattered assumptions about American infantry capabilities. Commanders noted that fortified positions, previously considered secure, were vulnerable to concentrated bursts of fire. Entire defensive strategies had to be reconsidered. Reports emphasized the weapon's ability to create chaos, erode morale, and force reactive rather than proactive maneuvers. Strategically, the implications were significant. American planners recognized that the success at Salerno was not merely a product of numbers or artillery support. It was the combination of small unit tactics and superior close-range firepower. The Thompson allowed squads to dominate urban and semi-urban terrain, clear bunkers, and suppress enemy strongpoints efficiently. This understanding influenced subsequent operations in Italy, Normandy, and beyond, ensuring that submachine guns were incorporated into planning, supply, and training doctrines. Beyond tactics, the aftermath revealed the human dimension of warfare. Soldiers on both sides were forced to confront the brutal reality of close-range combat. American infantry experienced a mix of exhilaration and fear, empowered by the weapon yet aware of the deadly stakes. German defenders faced disorientation and panic under a sustained barrage, a psychological toll that lingered long after the fighting subsided. The Thompson had become more than a tool. It was a defining factor in the character of infantry engagements, reshaping the battlefield and leaving lasting impressions on those who survived its fire. The broader consequences of the Thompson's deployment extended far beyond Salerno. As American forces pressed northward through Italy, German commanders increasingly recognized the need to adapt. Defensive positions were redesigned, patrols became more cautious, and machine gun placements were reconsidered to counter rapid-fire submachine guns. Yet no adaptation could fully negate the psychological and tactical edge the Thompson provided. Its ability to dominate close-range engagements allowed American squads to seize objectives with speed, often before the enemy could organize an effective response. On the logistical side, the United States ramped up production to meet demand. Factories across the country churned out thousands of Thompsons each month, ensuring that every frontline unit could be equipped. Training programs emphasized not only marksmanship, but also squad-level coordination, room-clearing techniques, and rapid magazine changes. This combination of supply, training, and battlefield experience maximized the weapon's effectiveness and cemented its place as a cornerstone of American infantry tactics. Reports from German prisoners and captured documents reflected their growing awareness of the threat. Many described the overwhelming effect of concentrated Thompson fire, noting that it forced units into retreat and disrupted command structures. The gun's portability, high rate of fire, and reliability under harsh conditions made it an unpredictable and terrifying opponent. Across multiple theaters, from Tunisia to Normandy, its reputation spread quickly, shaping both enemy behavior and Allied confidence. By the end of 1944, the Thompson had proven that a submachine gun could change the calculus of modern warfare. It was more than a weapon. It was a force multiplier, a psychological lever, and a tactical innovation that altered engagements at the squad level. Its presence influenced strategy, production, and training, leaving a lasting impact on the conduct of the war. Soldiers who wielded it, and those who faced it, carried with them the lessons of relentless, high-volume fire, lessons that would echo long after the battles had ended and the guns fell silent. The story of the Thompson submachine gun is not merely a tale of bullets and battlefields. It is a reflection of how technology can reshape the human experience of war. In the hands of American infantry, It became more than a tool. It became an extension of instinct, training, and determination. Each burst of fire carried the weight of survival, the urgency of comrades depending on one another, and the unpredictable chaos of combat. Soldiers learned to trust it implicitly, and enemy forces learned to respect, even fear, its devastating potential. Its impact was felt not only in the physical destruction it wrought, but in the psychological domain. German infantry, trained for methodical engagements, were confronted with something entirely different: speed, volume, and unpredictability concentrated at close range. The Thompson forced a reconsideration of defensive doctrine and highlighted the importance of adaptability in modern warfare. For American troops, it instilled confidence and shaped the way they approached the battlefield, creating a rhythm of aggression and precision that defined small unit tactics for the remainder of the war. Looking back, the Thompson exemplifies the intersection of human ingenuity, mechanical reliability, and the evolution of combat. It changed the dynamics of infantry engagements, influenced production and training, and left an enduring mark on military strategy. More than a weapon, it symbolized the shifting nature of warfare in the 20th century, where firepower, speed, and coordination could outweigh numbers or static defenses. In the ruins of towns, the deserts of North Africa, and the hedgerows of Normandy, the Thompson left a legacy of both destruction and innovation. Its story reminds us that technology, when combined with courage and skill, can redefine the rules of conflict and forever alter the course of history. This understanding bridges the gap between strategy and human experience, showing that in war, a single tool, wielded with knowledge and intent, can reshape the battlefield and the lives of those who fight on it.